Good evening, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is June 21st, 2023. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to summer, the longest day of the year. And from now, the days are going to be shortened, as it says in Matthew 24. Unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. So the midpoint of summer is the beginning of the shortening of the days, from the longest day of the year on June 20th and June 21st to the shortest day of the year on December 21st. The days are going to be getting shorter and shorter from now until December. And right now we are seeing a very important sign that is coming up in September. And I want to point out a few details to you. Now, this summit that is going to be taking place at the UN during the General Assembly is going to be happening starting on September 18th and 19th. And according to another report, is going to be going through at least to the 24th and 25th of September. Okay, 24th and 25th of September, accelerating the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Sustainable Development Goals Summit in New York, 24th and 25th of September. Okay, so first of all, I want to take a look at the beginning of this. On the Hebrew calendar, the Feast of Trumpets, the first day of Tishri, is September 15th. Okay, this summit is not going to begin until September 18th. So I would say that this is probably not a sign for the Feast of Trumpets. But if we go on to the Hebrew calendar, we look at the 24th and 25th of September, and we go to the Hebrew calendar, then we're going to see that between September 24th and September 25th, the 10th of Tishri is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So we do have this summit beginning on September 18th and 19th, which is like the third day of Tishri, going through the 24th and 25th, which would be the Day of Atonement. Okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out, and they're making a big deal about this, that this agreement that they made in 2015 is now at the halfway mark. It's at the halftime mark. Okay, let's read this together. The UN 2023 SDG Summit, Securing a Sustainable Future. The United Nations will convene the SDG Summit on 18th and 19th of September 2023 at its headquarters in New York during the General Assembly High-Level Week, with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development at midpoint. Okay? Midpoint. World leaders will carry out a comprehensive review of the state of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, respond to the impact of multiple and interlocking crises facing the world, and provide high-level political guidance on transformative and accelerated actions towards the target year of 2030. But the agenda is a promise, not a guarantee. At the halftime mark, okay, again, this is at midpoint, and now it's at the halftime mark. They're making a big deal about this being the halfway marker from the time they implemented these goals back in 2015. At the halftime mark, the promise is in deep peril. For the first time in decades, development progress is reversing under the combined impacts of climate disasters, conflict, economic downturn, and lingering COVID-19 effects. The SDG Summit serves as a rallying cry to recharge momentum for world leaders to come together, to reflect on where we stand, and resolve to do more. It is a moment to recommit to a vision of the future that ensures no one is left behind. No one is left behind. Fundamental shifts in commitment, solidarity, financing, and action must put us back on track to end poverty, realize just societies, and reset a balanced relationship with the natural world. Okay? A balanced relationship with the natural world. Remember what the Georgia Guidestones says. If you want to balance out nature, you need to keep the population at 500 million or less to keep a balanced relationship with nature. Okay? So this is part of the Agenda 2030, is the depopulation agenda, to keep a balanced relationship with the natural world. Okay, so this is from the Georgia Guidestones, just to let everybody know what I'm talking about. Maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature, and reset a balanced relationship with the natural world. Okay, the balance of nature. So this is connecting that the goal of the Georgia Guidestones to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and Agenda 2030. But they're making a big point about this being the midpoint, where it says here with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development at midpoint. And then they go on to say it's the halftime mark. And they go on to say that they want to ensure that no one is left behind. Okay, all of these terms they're using. Now let's look at the covenant with many from Daniel 9:27, and we're going to see that they're confirming a covenant with many for 1 week. They have a 7-year plan right now to recommit. They're confirming the covenant, okay? The covenant was made back in 2015. Okay, and now they're confirming the covenant for 1 week, because from 2023 to 2030, they are recommitting to this Agenda 2030. And so they're confirming the covenant. All right, the covenant was already made, but now they're confirming the covenant. Another way we can look at that is the term they're using about the halfway point, the midpoint, or the middle of the covenant, because it says he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Okay? In the midst of the week. So we've got a lot of ways we can connect this. From 2015 to 2023, the midway point was the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And from the exact day of the beginning of the COVID pandemic to the Day of Atonement this year is 1,290 days, exactly. Daniel 12:11, from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay? And now we're watching a covenant that is being renewed after the Day of Trumpets, but a week before the Day of Atonement. So is September 18th a 7-day warning to September 24th and September 25th, the Day of Atonement? Okay? Because if this was a sign for the Day of Trumpets, then it would happen on or before the Day of Trumpets. But it's not happening on the Day of Trumpets. It's happening after the Day of Trumpets. It's happening 7 days before the Day of Atonement. Okay, so I have been watching the Day of Atonement. I have a lot of information I'm sharing about the Day of Atonement. And now we've got all this information about this SDG Summit coming September 18th and 19th. And it's going all the way to September 24th and 25th, which is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So is this a 7-day warning to the Day of Atonement, as I have been sharing with you? This is a very important sign. This is a worldwide covenant agreement that has been made since 2015. And now they are stressing the fact that they are coming to the midway point. The 2023 SDG Summit marks the midpoint. Okay? Very important information. We'll have to be watching all of this leading up to September. Okay? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I will leave all the links for you of all of the information that I have been pointing to, focusing on September and especially on the Day of Atonement. I believe that this summit coming up in September is pointing to the Day of Atonement and not to the Day of Trumpets. Part of that may be that 2023 could be the year of Jubilee, and the Jubilee trumpet sounds on the Day of Atonement and not on the Day of Trumpets. That is according to Leviticus 25. If you want to read about the year of Jubilee, read about the year of Jubilee in Leviticus 25, and it says that the trumpet of Jubilee will sound on the Day of Atonement. And I have shared information with you about 2023, the year of Jubilee, trumpet on the Day of Atonement. And I've also showed you how all this other information is pointing to September 23rd and September 24th from so many different levels. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Just a quick update. I pray you guys are blessed. I will be in touch in the next few days as soon as I can. And if I see anything else, I will always be here ready with a new update. I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. The sign of his coming revealed.